And then my wonderful copy editor, Monique Kramer, helped me take an 80,000 page book or an 80,000 word book, and that'll be a lot of pages, 80,000 word book. And she helped me to break it up into a more godly book. It was a more dramatic book. And we have this series called Cruising Toward Heaven, and then it has a subtitle. And what happened was I entered them in some contests, and each one of them won a gold medal. One was on addiction and recovery, and one was the 2024 Christian Book Award for adult nonfiction. And so I had these two now gold medal books, and my second book that I've written has become a best-selling Audible book on Audible. And so we've got these award-winning books, and then people came along and wrote with me faith-based scripts, and they became award winners. So here I am. Randa's telling me I'm going to get elevated. Kimberly's telling me to go to this thing in Knoxville. And because of Monique, I was able to have these award-winning scripts and books.
Welcome to Testimonies of Triumph, where real stories of faith come to life. In each episode, we share powerful testimonies of how God transforms trials into triumphs, bringing hope and redemption to everyday lives. Whether you're seeking encouragement, wisdom, or inspiration, you'll hear how God is working today, turning even the darkest moments into stories of victory. Now, let's dive into today's episode and witness the incredible power of God's grace in action. Well, good morning, and thanks for coming back to Testimonies of Triumph, Rob. I appreciate you being here. So for those who don't know me, I'm Bradley, and that's Jordan.
Hello.
And we have Rob Ekno on again, and I'm just really looking forward to a chat today. So help us out. You've been through a lot lately, and I want to know what's going on.
And thanks so much for having me, Bradley and Jordan. And I got to tell you, it is a glorious day here in Knoxville, Tennessee. The Lord brought me out of Hollywood about basically exactly 1 year ago. And I had no clue why he had brought me here. And I called a faith-based film actress, this beautiful friend of mine, Randa Blackley. She is a very talented Christian singer, faith-based actress, all of that good stuff. And I called her after I got here, and I said, Randa, why do you think God brought me 2,300 miles after being in Hollywood for 30 years and just put me in the middle of, the Great Smoky Mountains? And Randa immediately, without even taking a breath, she just said, I believe he brought you here to elevate you to new heights of a man that he's never taken you before. Oh. And as you guys can imagine, I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean?
and for me, that's sort of a veiled threat because I have my own demons about being elevated, right? Like I could take that and go, all right, I'm ready, let's do it. I don't think that's what happened. So what? Take us through that year. What really happened? Were there challenges along the way? And then I know that there was an event that was culminated here this last fall. I'm really interested, what is it? How did it go? And what did you learn?
Well, so out of the blue, a wonderful friend of mine, Kimberly, out in Hollywood called, and she said, hey, Rob, are you going to the NRB convention in Nashville in February? And I'm like, what is the NRB convention? And she said, National Religious Broadcasters. And I said, well, Kimberly, you don't know this, but I'm actually moving to Knoxville in a couple of weeks, and so I'll be there. So I guess I could just drive up the 40 freeway and go there. She said, yeah, because you've, you have these faith-based books you've written, and then also your movie scripts on them. People up there are looking for that kind of stuff, and you should do well. So I said, okay, that's fantastic. And then my wonderful copy editor, Monique Kramer, helped me take an 80,000 page book, or an 80,000 word book, and that'll be a lot of pages, 80,000 word book. And she helped me to break it up into a more godly book. It was a more dramatic book. And we have this series called Cruising Toward Heaven, and then it has a subtitle. And what happened was I entered them in some contests, and each one of them won a gold medal. One was on addiction and recovery, and one was the 2024 Christian Book Award for adult nonfiction. And so I had these two now gold medal books, and my second book that I've written has become a best-selling Audible book on Audible. And so we've got these award-winning books, and then people came along and wrote with me faith-based scripts, and they became award winners. So here I am. Randa's telling me I'm going to get elevated. Kimberly's telling me to go to this thing in Knoxville. And because of Monique, I was able to have these award-winning scripts and books. So I go up to Nashville, never had been there, go to the Grand Ole Opry.
Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, the Opryland Hotel, which is, I didn't know this, guys, but it is the largest non-casino hall in North America. So no gambling, but it is just like Caesar's Palace, the Wynn. Pick whatever one you want, any of those glorious places out there. It is just like that. So I go there, and as Kimberly said, you need to meet people. Well, one of the beautiful people that I met was Dorothy Spalding. She owns a TV station down in Augusta, Georgia, Channel 49. She has a show called Club 36 that airs every day, 2 hours from 10 to noon. And Dorothy loved my book on addiction, and she also loved my book on spirituality as well that won. And so she invites me down on April 16th, this past year, April 16th, 2024. And I'm like, fantastic. And she said, got to drive down and stuff. So it was a big GPS took me a long way. It was an 8-hour drive. Anyways, who cares how far I got to drive for the Lord, right? He goes all out for me. So I got to go all out for him. But she invites me down on the 16th. And I had won an award from the Christian Film Festival, which did a book award and a film festival in the same. And the gentleman, Rich Collins, who runs that, he emailed me and said, sir, we're doing an award ceremony with the red carpet on April 27th up here in Newport News, Virginia, which is a 10-hour drive. And again, when I'm telling you this stuff, I just got to Knoxville. So I don't know anywhere how far things are going to go, whatever. So
well, wait, hold on just a second. And you're coming from Southern California, right? Where it takes you 4 hours to get anywhere.
Yes.
And now you're looking at a map and going, uh-oh. this is gonna be how long?
Yes. Well, yeah, that is interesting. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, because in Southern California, it's 4 hours to go like a quarter of an inch on a map, and what you're talking about is to go 3 or 4 inches on a map. You think, this is good. I better pack a lunch.
We're gonna pack a lunch and know where all the Loves and Pilots truck stops are.
Exactly right. All the rest stops. Got to find a restroom. Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
So here we are now, April 16th. Right, these are important dates. And then this guy Rich Collins says April 27th. So I'm all booked, and he said, sir, I'll just send you your certificates. He said, you don't need to come up 10-hour drive. I'll just send them to you. And I kept telling my wonderful partner, Monique, and I said, Monique, for some reason, God is telling me I need to be there that day, and I need to make the drive no matter what it costs in gas and staying over in a hotel and all this stuff. He wants me there for some reason. I don't know why. So about a week later, Rich emails me back and says, sir, he said, we had to move our venue up a week earlier, so it's now going to be Saturday, April 20th. So I paused, and I do meditation every morning. I sit with the Lord for about 45 minutes to an hour every morning. And I was in my meditation. I was thinking, you know what? I don't really know the roads around here, but I think it would be easier to drive to Augusta, Georgia south, and then all the way up Route 95, 10 hours to Richmond, Virginia, and then home, rather than going down and back and forth. So I call up the station with Dorothy, and here I am looking for my new purpose in life, right? And so I call up Dorothy. I said, any chance I can move to Friday the 19th instead of Tuesday the 16th? And that way I could drive down to your thing on Thursday to be there for early in the morning. And on Friday, then leave your studio at noon, drive up to Newport News, Virginia, and be there for Saturday morning for this other film festival. So they got back to me a couple of days later and said, sure, that will be great. So I drive down to Augusta, Georgia, and the GPS, guys, I thought it was going to take me through Atlanta and out. It took me through the back roads of South Carolina and, just craziness.
God's country.
I'm telling you, it was beautiful, but it took 8 hours. I thought I was never going to get there. So, hey, listen, I just followed GPS, and I didn't have anything else to do those other 2 hours anyways, right? So I get down there, and I get to the studio the next day. So now it's the 19th and the 20th rather than the 16th and the 27th, right? And so I get there, and Dorothy and her daughter and son-in-law do the first half hour of the show. And then I come up, and they call me for a guest. And I had watched the show the night before. I guess they replay it later on at night, and it happened to be on in my hotel room. And I watched it, and I noticed that the guests that they had on were all like 10-minute guests, 15-minute guests, and so on. So I figured I'm going to be doing a 15-minute deal, right? So I get there, and Dorothy sits me down in between a commercial break, and there's a middle-aged black couple that was off in the corner, and she says, you see those folks over there? She said they were getting a divorce, and I got them to reconcile, and now they're coming back together, and this is their first day performing together again as a duet, and the name of their group is New Purpose. And I'm like, hello, I'm here looking for my new purpose, and they're right in front of me there, right?
I'm starting to put things together.
All right, you notice the date change. Kimberly calls out of the blue. And by the way, when Kimberly called me, my friend from Hollywood, we hadn't spoken in a good year and a half, 2 years or so. She just called me out of the blue, another God shot, right?
Wow.
It wasn't like we talked every day. So that was a God shot in itself. And otherwise, I don't meet Dorothy, right? So now I'm there, and I get on set, and we start talking about my book on addiction and recovery first. And I guess the Holy Spirit must have been rocking or something in me, and the prayer lines in the back room must have been going, because every 15 minutes we took a commercial break, and New Purpose sang as we went into the commercial break, or we were coming back from the commercial break. And before you know it, it was 12 noon, and we got done, and Dorothy looks at me, and she goes, young man, she goes, I just want you to know, I've been doing this show every day for 40 years now. She goes, and never once have I ever let a guest stay for more than 15 minutes.
Wow.
And she said, you stayed all 90 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, the hook just couldn't come out. I mean, that's amazing.
That is, it's incredible. And I'm going to try to look up something really quick here while we're doing this. So as I tell the story, so now I leave Dorothy's place on Friday morning, the 19th, and then I drive, and I end up driving up to. I'm going to try to show you guys a picture here so you can really get blown away by this thing here. I get up to Newport News, 10 hours in the rain. It was just raining. It was, they were doing all kinds of construction. So I'm on all these back roads, and it was just crazy. And so I get there at about 11 o'clock at night. Whoops, what is that? Oh, it's playing music to it. That's weird. It started its own thing, but you guys will like this. You'll appreciate the fact that I'm bringing this up. It's a wonderful thing here. Hopefully you can see it and think. So I get there at about 11 o'clock at night. I start calling for hotels. For some reason, Bradley and Jordan, I didn't call ahead of time because I didn't know where I was going, didn't know how close I would be to this event. And so anyways, I waited till I get up there. Wouldn't you know it, everything is sold out. There's a huge volleyball tournament in town. William and Mary University is there. Newport News shipping industry. Couldn't find anything. So I decided to get out of my car at a hotel, and I walk into the door, but it was locked. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good, right? Here I am in a strange town, 11 o'clock at night. I had no place to stay. Everybody's sold out. And as I'm walking back to my car, and hopefully you guys can see this, here's the license plate 10 feet in front of me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the Lord says to me, he says, Rob, he said, you're my son. Do you honestly think I'm going to let you drive 10 hours to get to this place to go get honored tomorrow morning for honoring me with your good works, and I'm going to make you sleep in your car tonight? Come on, Rob. Right? And like 30 seconds later, my wonderful fiance calls up and says, babe, I got you a place over at the Holiday Inn, the Express or Suites or something like that. So I go over there, sleep, get up, ready to go to this red carpet event the next day at the Christian Film Festival. And as I'm driving there, my GPS says, take a left in half a mile. Well, Rob takes a left right there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. I'm going the wrong way. I'm never going to get to this place. My whole mind goes into this thing, right? And all of a sudden, my head says, wait a minute, Rob, God allows U-turns, right? If our life is not going the way we want, he always allows us, to come back and turn around and get close. And I said, just simply pull a U-turn in the parking lot, Rob. Don't make a big deal out of this. So I pull a U-turn, guys. Now, this is a little bit more blurry because here's the car in the right lane, which would be the low-speed lane. And we're in this big, heavily populated area with malls and all that stuff and franchise restaurants. And it was just big, heavy Saturday morning traffic. And this car is 2 cars up from the front of me. And I'm like, I usually don't touch my phone when I'm driving, but this was too good. I had to get this. And let's see if you guys can see this.
Does it say Mighty God?
Mighty God. And then right on the side of it, what does it say? Jesus.
I can't see it. Jesus. Okay.
Right? So now the Lord says, Rob, you keep forgetting that you serve a mighty God. I am mighty. You are my son. I'm going to take care of you. Would you just chill and go enjoy this red carpet event? So I get over there, guys, and I'm telling you, I parked my car, did not even get out of my car. There's a steady rain, not something really heavy, but a steady rain coming down. And before I even opened my door, this guy, Rich, who runs the Christian Film Festival, I had never met the gentleman in my life. I'm in a place I'd never been. And he goes, sir, listen to me. Before you leave here today, I have been given a message. And I need to give it to you before you leave here today. And you cannot drive home to Knoxville until you hear this message, sir. Do you understand me, sir? And I'm like, what is this guy?
And how does he know I live in Knoxville?
Well, he knew that because that's where I submitted my awards from.
Okay, fair enough.
The book and stuff. So he knew that. But nobody in Virginia knows me, right? And so I'm like, okay. And we're walking into the event now. And he says to me, sir, you did hear what I said, right? You cannot go home. I have been given a message that I am implored to give to you, and you cannot leave. So just remember that when this is over and done, sir. And I'm thinking the whole time, who is this guy? What is his message? And so clearly I know that most likely the Lord has given him some message, right? Because nobody else knows who Rob is.
Mm-hmm.
So I do some speeches, whatever you do on a red carpet, you take pictures. The photographer came in, took some pictures, and there was nobody else there. The photographer goes home, and I'm ready to go. And the guy's like, hey, we've got some water over here, some chips and stuff, if you want to take some snacks for the ride. And then he looks at me and goes, well, wait a minute, sir. You can't go yet. He goes, don't you remember I told you that I had been delivered a message that needs to be given to you, and you are to hear it before you get in your car and leave here. Do you understand me, sir? And I'm like, what is going on here? He goes, sir, have a seat. So we sit at a regular round banquet table that they had set up, right? And he looks at me, guys, and he says, sir, do you know why you're here today? Now, right off the bat, Jordan and Bradley, right? When somebody says that to us, we know that we're actually not there for what we thought we were there for, right?
What you thinking?
Right?
That's right.
So
check yourself before you wreck yourself. Let me tell you.
I like that one. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's a good one. I got to remember that one there. So that's good. Thank you very much. So here we go. So I sit down. He goes, sir, I told you I've been given a message. Here's the message. You are a multi-award winning author. You're a multi-award-winning Christian screenwriter. You've been a member of the Screen Actors Guild for 30 years. You are an award-winning speaker, and you are also a multi-award-winning broadcaster. And I have been told that you are to immediately go home and begin the Knoxville Christian Film Festival to open up a new avenue for creative Christians to be recognized for their work in honoring the Lord. Now,
Wow.
you can only imagine my look when this guy says this. I had only moved to Knoxville about 3 months earlier. And my stepmom had passed up in Rhode Island. I had been back and forth up there a couple of times. We had 9 inches of snow one week, and nobody could leave their homes in Knoxville, so we were trapped for a night. I mean, like, I'd been in town for like 3 months.
Yeah, can I just lick my wounds from leaving Southern California just for a minute?
Right?
Just for a minute.
But you are correct.
Right,
I'm sitting there listening to this guy, and I'm like, I don't know anybody. I don't know venues. I don't know people. I'm the new guy in town.
All the better, Rob.
I think it's incredible how everybody being obedient. The people that were prophesying to you, it takes people to listen to God, and not just listen to God, but to know to take action. And how those pieces were coordinated are, when it's beyond coincidence, it's God's hands in it, 110%. And it just dawned on me that that's incredible.
Yeah, so I agree 1,000,000%. And so I'm listening to this guy, and while I'm listening to him, I'm thinking, this guy's like nuts. So I'm deciding, is this really God? And then I said, well, wait a minute, remember that license plate you saw? And then you saw the other license plate, and then Randa told you that he brought you here to elevate you to new heights that he's never taken you before. So the guy sits me down, he gives me some paperwork on how to do some things and stuff. He says, and I'll be here to help you, sir, if you need any help. He says, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to do it. And you need to do it immediately upon returning to Knoxville. He goes, do you hear me, sir? This is the message I've been given to give you. And I'm like, all righty then. So I leave, I get out to my car, and I immediately call my friend Randa in Southern Virginia. And I said, remember you told me that the Lord was going to elevate me? Well, here's what I just got asked to do. And the reason I called her was because she's also a graphic designer. And I said, would you like to be involved with this thing? I got told to do it. And I thought, if I'm going to do it, guys, I'm not just going to do Knoxville Christian Film Festival. I'm going to make it for the world to enjoy the Great Smoky Mountains and all the goodness, because technically they call this God's country here in East Tennessee.
They do.
And so I said, well, if I'm in God's country, then the whole world's going to see the greatness of the Great Smoky Mountains and all the goodness of what East Tennessee has to offer. So I said, I'm going to call it the Knoxville International Christian Film Festival. And I said, Randa, would you like to design a logo for me? And she says, well, I know some people that have tried that before there. I said, Randa, listen, you're my friend. I said, you can say no. I said,
you got me into this mess, girl. Come on.
You guys are paying attention. and I said,
I'm not really asking you, right? I'm telling you, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah, and if that guy came to you and told you that in the way that he did, I wonder how loud God's voice was in his head to where he's like, this has to be done.
I'm telling you guys, that Rich was adamant. I mean, and he's an old, he's a retired military guy, so you can only imagine. He was very
staccato.
Yeah. So I say to Randa, and she said, well, I know some people that have tried, it hasn't worked out. So I said, Randa, listen, I'm sure those are amazingly wonderful people that have tried and done whatever. I said, but you've seen my books, you've seen my movie scripts, you've seen me work long enough to be able to know my work. I said, if you want to say no, that's okay. We're still friends. I said, but you're the one that told me that God was going to take me different places, right? And I said, at least just pray about it for the night, right? You don't have to give me an answer now, but at least ask him if he wants you involved in this.
Take it to Dad. Go talk to Dad.
Right? No, we don't need to have a sibling rivalry going on here. She's a sister in Christ, beautiful woman. And so anyways, I I drive down the road of the 81 freeway coming back to Knoxville, and like an hour later, I needed to use the restroom. So I get out and I check my phone, and her wonderful husband's name is Jonathan. And I look at my text message, and it says, Jonathan says, I don't need to pray about it. It's a no-brainer. I need to help you immediately. So now I've got a logo designer on board here, a wonderful Jesus gal. And so we're ready to go. So within a couple of days, she ends up with this beautiful poster. It's more of a poster than a logo, but we were going to use it as a logo. But later on, we had to change it because it was so beautiful that it was tough to not screen print, but embroidery and stuff like that. It was too tough, so we had to change it up. But she designs this beautiful thing. We get going, and then I get told to go on this platform called Film Freeway, which is used by the festivals all over the world. And when I went on there, I loaded everything up, and then it said, because you're only going to do it, and I was only going to do it online because I don't know anybody in town, right? So I said, well, I can at least do it online. So I was starting it up, and then it says, right about a month before I started this, it says, we stopped allowing online film festivals to be publicly promoted through our huge worldwide network. You got to promote it on your own if you want to do an online one only.
Uh-oh.
And yeah.
I'll say it.
Right?
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me, right? I said, so first of all, I'm doing something that God's elevated me. I'm the new guy in town. I don't know a soul, right? I still don't even know where Cracker Barrel is yet, basically, right?
Yeah.
And sitting here, and I go, okay, so now I've got to promote it. And guys, I got to tell you, I'm the social media marketing. I don't know anything about that stuff. So now I got to promote it. Well, the weirdest thing is I put it up online. I did a quick Facebook page. I went on, GoDaddy, and they make websites so that even a bald man with no experience can put together at least a presentable website, right? So I present the website, I put the Facebook thing, and I announce it on the internet. And you know something? I went to bed around midnight, and I just happened to wake up at about 5 a.m. And I look at my cell phone, and it has another entry from Film Freeway, another entry from Film Freeway, I'm like, what? And what?
That's amazing.
The first entry was from Malaysia.
Whoa.
That's what I said. And then I got entries from Armenia. A guy from Iran emailed me and asked me to accept his because his monetary system didn't fit up with ours. So he says, "Can you give me a comp to get in there? I really want." And I said, "Listen, man, this is God's festival. He just asked me to be the administrator, right? This isn't about Rob and Randa. This is about God and honoring Him." And so our whole theme of our Knoxville International Christian Film Festival is to honor God in the spirit, of service and excellence. So your work is all about how well did you honor God with your work, right? If you send me a script with 25 typos and misspelled words, you clearly didn't take the time to honor the Lord with your best effort, right? If you send me a movie without much of a soundtrack, because you can get free soundtrack stuff all over the internet, royalty free, right? So did you really take your time to honor the Lord with your project? And so this festival, you don't have to be, one of the big stars in Hollywood with a, $2, $3, $5, $10 million budget. You can have a zero budget and just get a bunch of friends together. One of the categories that I have is family videos. I want families to just take videos of them having fun together. This is what we do every Sunday night, or this is what we do every Saturday afternoon as a family to honor God. So we have all kinds of categories like that. I just wanted to give people the most availability to be recognized for their great works and to just keep having beautiful ways to honor God. So all of a sudden, I've got, it was funny, some major marketing people, like big time marketing people, used to be at Warner Brothers, some other stuff. They told me if you could get 20 submissions this year, because it's first of all, nobody knows who you are. Second of all, you're only online. right? So if you could get 20, you'd be having a good festival. Do you know something, guys? We had 20 on the first day.
Wow.
Wow.
First
That's
day.
amazing.
But you know why? Because I said, okay, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, before I put the submit button and submitted the festival to Film Freeway, I said, Lord, I'll do the work, but you need to be in charge of promoting it.
Yeah.
So I'll do it, but you got to help me, Lord. So
yeah,
when I saw the 20 already, I'm like, well, that's what God does.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't quite as miraculous as you would think if you truly know or believe, right? That the Lord is like, you need 20, here's 20. What, you need to know people? I'll get you the people's cell phone numbers.
Yeah, and if you're told by other people that 20 is enough, how about I just deliver 20 on the first day, just to give you a little confidence? It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
I'm telling you, Bradley, Jordan, it was wonderful. So I got to tell you, if you ever want to have no time in your life, begin a film festival. Because you are answering questions, you are designing certificates, you are constantly figuring out new ways to promote it. And blessedly, and I've already sent them all of wonderful, gorgeous certificates that Randa designed, was to all of the Facebook pages and all the social media sites that took the time to allow me to keep promoting the festival. And when we started getting official selections into the festival and award winners, they would let me promote it and promote them up there. So I've already sent out wonderful certificates promoting them, and they just did a fabulous job. Matter of fact, hang on one second. Don't go too far. You'll see me. I just realized I have mine right behind me here. I'll show you how beautiful a certificate Randa did for us, so you can see how wonderful that is.
No,
Not like the National Christian Film Fest. There's a little glare off there, but you can see how beautiful that is. And so everybody got one of those, and all of the Facebook pages that took the time to allow me to post on a regular basis, and they still do. And it just became a wonderful thing, and that became wonderful. So on December 8th, we made the public announcement of all the winners just a couple of weeks ago. And so now, next weekend, Saturday, January 11th, from noon until 8 p.m. at Pellissippi State Community College in Hardin Valley, Northwest Knoxville, beautiful, wide open, spacious, gorgeous state facility campus. It's got the water fountains and all kinds of Canadian geese floating around and all kinds of stuff. They have gifted us the Tennessee, they call it the TN Film Community. And a gentleman named Tony Caudill and Troy Stavros started this, and it's recently became a nonprofit, but they gifted us to be part of their entertainment mixer that they're going to have next Saturday on the 11th. So from 12:30 until 4 o'clock, I get to showcase award-winning short films, music videos, animations, just incredible works that people submitted. And to get them in my first year of doing this I was blown away by the amazing quality. But then again, I had to remember God's promoting it. So he's getting the word out. So they're actually hearing some voice along the way, I have to trust, from the Lord, who's telling them, hey, that's the one you need. And here's the thing, Bradley and Jordan, this is what, to me, is really valuable. I told you the story about how this came together. So clearly it was God ordained, as Jordan had clearly pointed out to us, right? Yeah. So what happened to me was 2 days after I got told to do this, I'm on a seminar with this Miss Darian Gibson. She's the executive director of the Screen Actors Guild Indie Film Commission. She's been there for about 16 years, and she goes to about 60 film festivals a year around the world. And she said that the hardest thing that producers have told her consistently over 15 years, whether it's at cons, whether it's at a new festival, whatever, is to just simply get officially selected into a festival. She said that is the biggest gripe that producers have, that it's so hard just to even get an official selection. Never mind win an award, or never mind sell your project, right? And so with this in knowledge, I said, okay, this makes sense why God asked me to open this avenue. And so anyways, we started putting these official selections up and stuff, and it just really opened it up. And once people realized that, oh my gosh, I know that person, and they're an official selection into this thing. So the point is, more people started submitting because they realized it was a real thing now, right? They could see faces, they could see an award being given, you know, and so on. And so the point is, and the point I'm going to make next Saturday to all the attendees that show up, because we've got people coming. So right now I have confirmation as of when we're putting this together. I have confirmation from Nashville, Tennessee, Murfreesboro, which is a little south of Nashville, Bristol, Virginia, Newport News, Virginia, which is up near Washington, D.C., Orlando, Florida area, south of Atlanta, all kinds of wonderful folks. There's some folks from Alabama that may be strolling up here. It's just amazing. People are coming because they very rarely get to ever see the work they do for the Lord to be recognized. And so they're actually going to get to see their stuff on, it's like about a 15-foot screen by 10-foot high. It's a beautiful facility at Pellissippi State. And we thank TN Film Community and Tony and Troy for inviting us to this. But it's just going to be a wonderful thing. We have a red carpet banner already set to go, which is on the side of me over here. Mark Scarborough from At Water's Edge Ministry. And Mark takes folks over to Africa 2 or 3 times a year for the last right about 20 years. He just got back a couple weeks ago, as a matter of fact. And he stopped by the house so we could share a picture of together in front of the red carpet, make sure it looked the banner and make sure it looked great. So Mark's going to be delivering the opening prayer. And then also we have an amazing Christian singer from the Tri-Cities area, which is almost from, it's between the end of Tennessee on the east side and west of Virginia. Anyways, in that area, Tobias Tisdale, an incredible Christian singer, travels all over the place singing his joy. And he's agreed to come and sing the national anthem for us and open this up. And so we've been getting all kinds of amazing stuff. And if you guys would like, I will share a couple of the stories of the submissions that have won awards, because there was some pretty amazing stuff that happened.
Yeah, let's talk about the stories. I'm fascinated by the fact that you were all online.
Yes.
And somehow or another, now you've been gifted a venue. God's delivering the right people to provide encouragement,
yes,
and whatnot. I mean, good on you, Rob, for saying yes and being obedient, and then watching the rest of what God has been doing to click this thing together. That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here, and as I'm listening to you share that short burst right there, Bradley, I actually got tears in my eyes when you shared some of that stuff. And there's I guess there's a fine line between being obedient and thinking we're being obedient, or are we really wasting our time? And is it the enemy telling us to do something that we don't? But I got to tell you, if you go through right now we've got 18 wonderful reviews from China. I had another entry from Sweden, Italy. Just it was like crazy. And so all over the place, Woodland Hills, California, Montana. There was a beautiful group of folks in Montana that put together some pieces. Colorado, Texas, wonderful group in Kentucky. Bobby Lacer and his group in Kentucky, Fighting the Fire. A brilliant performance by James Dickey, the lead actor in that one. And it was just so much. So we're gonna. I'm putting together the list of everything in the program right now. I'm kind of finished, but I still got some calls out to some very prominent people, and so I want to make sure I leave room for them. I've been just to let you know, people in my town here who I started meeting at various entities I was going to started asking me, well, what do you need? I said, well, I'd really like to talk to this person. And I'd really like to talk to that person. I really like to talk to this person. And wouldn't you know it, guys? You guys would believe this. Like a day later, somebody texts me and says, remember that guy you wanted to meet? Now I'm talking somebody who's not our president, but somebody who sits at the in the Congress or at the U.S. Senate. And all of a sudden, the person goes to me, goes, that person has your cell phone, by the way. Just want to let you know. I said, what? He said, yeah. Talked to him yesterday. He's got your cell phone. So he'll be in contact. And then there was another very prominent member of, used to play football for University of Tennessee, a very prominent member of the community. And I said, boy, and he's big into theater. His family is big into theater and stuff and donating money and helping out the arts. And I said, man, I would really love to meet that guy. I noticed that he was following me on X, the Knoxville Christian Film Festival. It came up that this person is following you. And I said, boy, I'd really like to meet him. Wouldn't you know it? The next day, I told somebody, and the day after, guess what I got? A phone call. Hey, man, check your text messages. That's his cell phone number. He wants you to call him.
Yeah, when it's anointed, you just can't stop it.
Yeah,
that's what's fascinating for me is you're right. This obedience takes a very active role. You need to step into the role, right, and do your thing.
Yes.
And what you're verbalizing and what's happening around you when it's anointed, it just can't be stopped.
Yes.
And you get a chance to watch God's wonder in the middle of all of it. Like, you can't make this up.
Yes.
You just can't manufacture what happens. And so, it's therapeutic for people who go through those kinds of experiences, because all it does is deepen our faith to know, we just have this confidence that God is going to take care of it and to be within his will at that time. It's an amazing and very humbling place to be.
It is. And as you were mentioning that, I was trying to quickly find the so here is you guys should be able to see this here. So that is our red carpet banner. Yes. And that is here at my house, and that is Mark Scarborough from Atwater Edge Ministry. And he was going to do At the Water's Edge as the fisherman, right? And that's how he named his. So he's going to be doing the opening prayer. He was gracious enough to purchase the banner for us. So nice. We appreciate. Because when you're a new entity, right? But God puts you in places, and how I met Mark was a couple weeks earlier. I had gotten asked by chance to speak at his church down in Lenoir City, a little bit south of Knoxville. And as soon as I got done, I had never met Mark before. He jumped up and started clapping. He says, "Get ready to go to Africa." I'm like, what? He goes, "You're going to be coming on a mission with me to Africa next year." And I'm like, whoa. I'm trying to get through a film festival here. So,
yeah, exactly. Can we? Do you have internet access in Africa? Because I need it.
You are correct. And so that's how. So he came back about a week ago, and we got to take the picture. So we're lining it up next Saturday, January 11th, from 12 to 8. So there's going to be other things there. There's going to be an agency there doing auditions for actors. The mayor of Anderson County is going to be there. So there's going to be a motivational speaker there, and they've got some catering. But the big thing for us is this 3 to 4 hour block of time. And so, like, one of these is blown away. And Randa herself, the gal that did the graphics, before about 2 or 3 weeks before this festival thing ever came up, she wrote a song and had it produced with some of the guys at her church. And it's called Blown Away, and it's her intimate relationship with Jesus and how she realized that she maybe along the way she'd been pushing him away or not believing in him so much, or maybe not acting in the manner that she would have. And then she was sitting in a hotel room one day, and one day she realized, oh my God, this Jesus guy is pretty dang amazing. And she was blown away by the amount of grace that he gave her, and how much love and attention, and how much he really appreciated her being his daughter. And that was one of the great songs. So even though Miranda was part of the festival, technically by being the official designer, it's God's festival. And I talked her before the festival into doing a music video of this and getting it up online. And so if you're honoring and glorifying God, it's, you can be the graphic designer and still award-winning work for the Lord and honoring him. And you get to be a part of it too, because it's his festival. And so as I was judging all of these projects, guys, you can imagine what I did. I said, Lord, you just saw that. What do you think? And the Lord would give me some thoughts and words, and I would go, okay, yep, I agree, or I don't. I said, what do you think? And that's how I kind of judged the whole thing. And I used him as my guiding light throughout this whole thing. So the point I was trying to make before, which I realized I never finished, was that if you won an award in this festival, you won for honoring and glorifying God in the highest way with your talents and your efforts to show your love to him. And I don't know, you can win at cons, you can win at Sundance, wherever. I don't know that you can win a higher award than honoring and glorifying the Lord in the spirit of service and excellence.
Yeah, well done, faithful servant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And the thing is even at cons and Sundance, 95% of films, people try to make the films and get financing and get them bought and so on. Even there, Miss Gibson said 95% of films never get bought at a film festival. So if that's your whole goal, so what's the goal of this festival? To recognize godly folks that took the time to do projects to honor and glorify the good Lord in various ways, that how he's affected or impacted their lives in amazing ways. And that's what we got. So we're going to start off with Randa's song, because I said to her, we're going to start off right after the prayer and the national anthem. We're going to start off with a little Jesus, right? I said, what better way to start off a Christian film festival than with a 4-minute song about praising Jesus?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we've got a wonderful team. Dave Siriano from down in Florida. Dave won a gold medal. His team did for season 1 of their web series called Gone, Gone. And it's about the end times. And they had wonderful acting in there as well, and camera work. Matter of fact, his soundtrack was amazing. I asked him where he got it. And if you're a novice filmmaker or putting together some videos, Dave said to me that he just went online and there's some beautiful royalty-free sites, and he got the music royalty-free and just spent time. Again, see, this is honoring and glorifying the God. This was a perfect example. He didn't have the music. Maybe didn't have the budget to spend a lot of money on a composer and buying, buying music and stuff. He took the time to honor the Lord by searching and seeking out what he could, and then he spent time blending it all together. That's gold medal work right there. He took the time to make it and honored the Lord in that. There was no doubt that was a gold medal winning project. And so
this reminds me of selling your oil. Right, it's taking the gifts that you're given and putting together the resources that are also available.
Yes,
and at the end of the day, glorifying the Lord, and how that's clever and cool, and a really amazing demonstration of a gift that he's been given, and in the process, it just shines the light back on the Lord. That's awesome.
And that's you hit it on the head. That's the whole thing. And that's how these things are judged. Did you honor and glorify the Lord with your best efforts? Right. Yeah. And then we had some novices. We had some novices that are in their like 60s and 70s up in Montana. There was a group of them, and they sent in 3 submissions, and they were just wonderful. It's like you could see the joy of the Lord. And one of their projects was called The Dash. And the dash was, what happens between the date you were born and the date you leave us? That dash in between, what do you do with your life to honor and glorify the Lord?
Yeah.
So they won, I believe that was a silver medal for Sonia V. Hardiman and her group, Gilbert Somerville and their sister, Linda, and so on. They won a silver medal for that. In I think I did a creative. Some of the categories, like a whole lot of our categories that got submitted were short films. There were all kinds of things, documentaries and music videos, all kinds of student films, but short films was the biggest category. So God gave me the idea that in order to glorify more people, like if you had 4 people that had gold medal, projects, well, in most festivals, they're going to say, well, we pick one is the gold medal, one is the silver, one is the bronze, and one will get honorable mention. And God said to me, Rob, if you've got 4 gold medal submitted projects in one category, then they all get a gold medal because they each honored me in their best effort. So you don't pick one over the other if they've all.
Yeah, it's not a comparison to where the competition to be able to get your award will distract you from your actual purpose by glorifying God. That's amazing.
Spot on, Jordan. That is spot on, and that's why this festival is so powerful. We just finishing our first year, and we're gonna, wrap it up, next Saturday.
I feel it. I'm sorry. When you just thank you. Well, what we're doing is being vessels on working together to glorify God. So when it came to me, it just really flooded me with that is the purpose. That is the focus.
Yes, that is the whole thing of this festival. And that's why if people look at the reviews and they go on KnoxvilleChristianFilms.com and you look at the page that I put up with reviews, you will see that a good portion of them really were in depth with their review and saying that, there you go right there. You can see all those beautiful reviews. And if you read those reviews, you will notice, and you can see how long some of them are. They're really in depth, and they took a lot of time to share something really insightful. And I love that. That's so beautiful, guys. Thank you so much for getting that up there. But all of those, and you can see they're from Sweden, Italy, Armenia, Malaysia. There's Randa, and there's Gregory David Solomon from Vinton, Virginia. And one of the things I will tell you this. Gregory David Solomon sent in a beautiful script called Unforgivable, and he was one of our gold medal script winners. Matter of fact, there were several scripts, but 4 of them really were there. 4 of them had basically no typos. They clearly took the time. And I say that, people might be watching and go, well, what's the big deal on that? Let me tell you what, I spent 30 years in Hollywood. And I spent time, I spent 4 years on the TV show News Radio, which is a big hit with Phil Hartman and stuff. And I was the guy, I was on pretty much every show. And I got to tell you, they give you a script every week, and there's typos all over the place. And it just throws off, the reading, the story. If you're reading a book, same thing. And so that's huge, just that alone. And then the subject matter. So we had 4 amazing stories. Chris Krager out in Colorado, he had a script with angels, demons, and a court martial. And that was about a guy in the Navy, first had a challenging situation with his mom, and then he gets in the Navy and he wants to pray. And he's praying in places where apparently it wasn't acceptable to the Navy for him to be praying and or to fellow, cadets and so on. And so they wanted to throw him out of the Navy and punish him. And all. He says, you can punish me all you want. I'm not stopping and denying the Lord for anything. Amen. And if you court-martial me, so be it. But I'm not stopping my relationship with Jesus for nothing. And so that was a very strong subject matter. And then we had Topping the Willow, Lori Kloster. Lori's in North Carolina. And that was another toughie there. It was about selfishness and self-centeredness and how we can really harm people. And a teenage gal was with mom and dad in their SUV one day, and the teenager wanted to go somewhere or something. She was arguing with mom, and she grabs the steering wheel. All of a sudden, they end up crashing. Mom ends up in a coma because of the girl's selfishness. And that was an amazing story. And so that's a whole different thing. And that was all about forgiveness and so on. And then Courtney Lee Simpson in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, she has a wonderful feature script called Till My Last Breath. And that was about a woman who had an eating disorder and how her husband did everything he could to help her out, and he ends up in the hospital. And now all of a sudden it's about trying to save him. And it was just this amazing stuff. And then Gregory David Solomon out in Vinton, Virginia, His was about, unfortunately, two children that grew up in a very, very abusive home where one of the parents shot and killed the other, and the kids watched it, and the kids were separated from parents, and it was and in the end, totally unexpected, the kids go meet with the person that killed their mom, and they forgave him. They got a hold of Jesus in their life, and they realized the only way they could move on and ever have any kind of peace, or the best peace possible, was they had to forgive him. And when I did my review on his thing and sent it off to him, he wrote back to me and he said, wow, clearly you read the whole script. He said, because you would have never been able to figure out that twist that we put at the end, where unless you had read the whole script, and it was 120 pages. And I wrote him back and I said, Gregory, I said, when you submitted to this festival, the whole thing was that you needed to submit, and you were going to be awarded based on how well you honored God in the spirit of service and excellence. I said, in the same vein, God expects myself and Randa and Monique, our consulting Monique was one of my consultants and sponsors, and he expects us to do the same when we're watching. So if you send a 2-hour feature film, then we watch all 2 hours of it. If you send a 120-page script, we read the whole thing. It's our job to honor him as well. And you will notice on there, if you see some of those other reviews, some folks like really hit on that spot. It was like, this is, for a first-year festival, this was really more than I could have ever expected. And it was simply because we were doing exactly what the Lord asked us to do when he asked you to submit. We got to give back as well. And so that's how it worked out so well. So those are 4 gold medal award-winning scripts. And then there was another wonderful script. It's a mini script. It was only 12 pages. That's a mini script, right? And it was submitted by Brad Roberts of Alabama. And it was called The Christmas Miracle at the Dollar General. And that one was about loving thy neighbor as thyself. And Bradley won a gold medal for this one, for the script, because it was a guy on the phone, a husband, talking to mom, and they're deciding that, how are we going to spend money? I don't have a lot of money right now, and I don't get paid for another 3 or 4 days, but Christmas is coming, and we want to get stuff for our daughter. And the husband goes into a Dollar General, and he's standing there, and the lady in front of him doesn't have money to buy everything she needs to take home with her. And now the father who's standing there is like, oh my God, I just told my wife we don't have money to pay our own stuff, and we got to cut back and save our money. And he decided the Lord had obviously given him a wink, and he ends up offering, and he pays for the lady's stuff and put himself in front of his family, and didn't cheat his family out of anything. They just couldn't get anything extra. But he did the godly thing in loving thy neighbor as thyself. So that was a wonderful film. And then some of the ones that'll be shown on Saturday next week. Bradley also was the director with the, I believe it's the Tennessee Valley Christian Filmmakers, and they put together a wonderful film called You'll Remember Me. And Bradley and Jordan, if you remember the feature film, The Notebook, from several years ago.
Yep.
And this is kind of along the same lines, where a young husband and wife. The wife started having memory loss at a young age, and she doesn't remember the husband, and so on and so forth. And he was honoring the Lord as he did when he took his wedding vows, through sicker, through health and all of that stuff. He's like, babe, I love you. I married you, and you might be sick, but I'm not going anywhere. And I know you don't remember me right now, but we'll work it out. And it was just a really beautiful piece. That was a short film by the Tennessee Valley Christian Filmmakers. So kudos to them for a fabulous piece. And then we also have Ties That Bind. That is by Taffany Williams in Murfreesboro. That is a little bit, I'm not all that great with Tennessee, but I think it's just a little bit south of Nashville, in between Knoxville and there. And Taffany and her group put together Ties That Bind, and it was a younger couple, and it was all about how the importance of good godly communication between a husband and wife can solve so many issues. rather than screaming and hollering, but talking and letting the Lord lead the conversation. And then also the husband, as he was growing up, did not have a father in his life. And so the importance of having a strong, godly father in our lives as well. So there were two wonderful messages in that honored and glorified the Lord. And so, and all of these, by the way, are different levels of production, depending on where the filmmakers were and budgets and all that stuff. But that wasn't as much of a judging factor. It was, did they honor and glorify the Lord with their stories? And these are very powerful stories. And I got to tell you, there was one vanished by a group here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, just north of Knoxville, and that was about a young gal who was in school. I'm guessing she was somewhere in the 10, 11, 12-year old range, and she left school one day thinking that everybody had left, even though her mom was supposed to come pick her up and the teacher was supposed to be there, and she went to the classroom, nobody. So she just said, I must have been late. She starts walking home and gets kidnapped, hence vanished. And they, in the end, I don't want to tell you how it ends, but but it was a very powerful, especially in today's day and age, right? And especially in today's day and age with all this craziness, we're looking at missing children all the way around, and it was a really good lesson for parents to remember. You know, letting your kids walk home or whatever in today's day and age, you know, it's a more challenging situation. So that was a really awesome production. And then we had a group in Cleveland, Tennessee, that is just north of Chattanooga, and they did a wonderful film called Elation. And it was another thing that's happening in today's world where somebody gets accused of something they didn't do. And it was a teacher helping out a student, and I would say she was middle-aged high school, if not a senior. And this professor was trying to help her out with something, so he prayed with her. And somebody found out about it, and they considered it inappropriate behavior, and the teacher ends up getting fired because of this behavior that he did nothing wrong. And it's just something that's happening all too much nowadays when people with nothing to do really, you know, we've heard more stories than not on this kind of a situation, right? Maybe not praying, but other situations similar to that where somebody steps up to help somebody and then they get accused of something they didn't do. And that was a really powerful one. Ryan Reese and some folks down in Cleveland, Tennessee. So those will be, and then there was a beautiful one. This one is called Faith Healing. It's a short film, and Brandon McMahon and Deja McCrae down in the Atlanta area, and Faith Healing. Oof, this one's going to be the last one of the afternoon. I called Brandon yesterday, and I said, do you mind if I run this? And Brandon has some scheduling and some things going on in his life, and he's not going to be able to make the ride as of now. Who knows? Maybe God will perform a miracle and get Brandon and his crew up there next Saturday, hopefully so. But we're going to end with this one because it is about forgiveness. And it is a track star on her high school track team. And her best friend takes her to a party one night, and there's drinking. And the track star doesn't want to drink. And she looks at her best friend, what are you doing drinking? I don't want to be here drinking. And, you know, take me home. And her best friend's like, stay a party. What's a couple of drinks? And the girl said, you know what? I'll walk home. I'm not hanging out here. She walks outside and sees something really pretty outside. And she goes to take a picture, and she gets run over by a car, and she gets paralyzed. And she goes through a challenging time before she finds Jesus in her life, before she's able to forgive these people. It's really, really powerful. I had tears judging it. And I'll share one more with you. Don't know if we're going to be showing this next Saturday or not, because I have some other plans for it. But a gentleman, John Fuentes, and his gang out in Woodland Hills, California, they put together just a, we just had our recent elections, and one of the top 3 issues that was listed that people battle over all the time, which is abortion. And John and his crew out in Woodland Hills, they did a 7-minute short film, and it was a young gal sitting in the waiting room who was going to abort her baby, and all of a sudden mom walks in And she's like, what are you doing here, Mom? You're not going to talk me out of this, blah, 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 blah. And Mom says, could I just have a chat with you? Fine, Mom, whatever, but you're not talking me out of it. I got all kinds of things to do with my life here, and I'm going to college, and I got boyfriends, and I got things to do, and I'm not dealing with some baby here, right? And Mom says, can I just tell you a story? And hopefully I can make it through without getting teared up, because I haven't yet. And Mom starts telling the story, and she goes, years ago, I was in the same situation you are today, and I couldn't tell your grandmother. She would have just shot me right there on the spot. And the girl goes, the daughter goes, well, what did you do? And she said, well, in the end, I decided to keep the baby. And the daughter says, well, what happened after that? And the mom said, well, it's a good thing I did. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I didn't make it through without tearing up. I have never made it tearing up. And it was a really, let me look at my list quickly here if I can. John Fuentes and the two ladies that acted in that were just absolutely spectacular. And I would like to give them some wonderful extra credit. And there were all kinds of brilliant works, but that one there. Where is John's group here? Anyways, it was I'm still recovering from that one.
Oh man, I was off screen. I was wiping my tears.
I put you on screen. Yeah, it's rough. I was reading a Facebook as you're looking, Rob. I was just reading a Facebook page this morning before we got on here, and it's a gentleman who was the product of a 13-year-old girl being raped, and rather than being aborted, he is the child of that experience, understanding how horrible it was for Mom to have to go through the entire thing, and how blessed he feels to be on the planet. And his relationship with Christ is incredibly strong. And so you sharing that is very consistent with what God was trying to say earlier this morning, and it's absolutely a tearjerker. Absolutely.
You can go on YouTube and watch it. It's 7 minutes. It's called Set Apart. And director is John Fuentes, Fuentes. And he wrote that as well. And then the lead actress was Jenna Sophia, and the supporting actress was Elena Shahagan, and that was the mom. And boy, I still get tears while I'm still talking about it now. It's just so those are the kind of powerful messages that we received, and the stories. I mean, and from Iran and Armenia and Malaysia, Italy, Sweden, just wonderful submissions from all over. So next Saturday, January 11th, from noon until 8 p.m. at the Pellissippi State Community College in Northwest Knoxville, Hardin Valley. It is the TN Film Community's Films for Him Faith-Based Expo, and they will have various entities there. And we have been given up to a 4-hour time slot beginning at 12:30 p.m. next Saturday in a 148-seat auditorium in the Goins building, Goins. Beautiful, safe campus. Love it. Free parking, everything. You can go on tnfilmcommunity.com and get more information. And also more information on KnoxvilleChristianFilms.com. You can see all the reviews that we have so far. You can see the contests we have for giveaways to get there as well, plus submissions, Bradley and Jordan, for season 2 coming up as well. And that starts 3 weeks from now on February 1st. I don't know exactly how the calendar works out, but if this is January 4th, then we got about 3 weeks before February 1st. So, and that's going to be very exciting. You'll have to go online on February 1st to find out more about that. But I will just say this: God did not put this here to stop. he put this here to continue to grow. And the first half of season 2 is going to show you just what it is. But just having this blessing, again, Tony and Troy from TN Film Community for gifting, like you said, Bradley, I'm just doing this online. And I got to tell you a quick story. Last summer, right after I just started it, I was at an event with Kevin Sorbo and his beautiful wife, Sam. And I went up to Sam, and I had never met Sam, but I had worked with Kevin before, and I had been at an event at the NRB convention a few weeks ago with Kevin as well. And so I got to chat with him briefly amongst all of the, duties that he had going on as well. But I said to Sam, I said, listen, I'm starting the Knoxville Christian Film Festival. You guys are starting this event that you have here, and Rise Up Con, and God has asked me to start this. And so she looks at me and she goes, well, where's the venue? And I said, well, we're going to do it online. I kind of just moved to Knoxville. And she looks at me and goes, online? And then she looks at me and goes, that's actually a really smart way to do it. And so then I go over to Kevin and I say, Kev, I just told Sam, I was starting the film festival. I hadn't got a chance to tell you that before. You've been really busy. And he says, oh, great. He goes, where's the venue? And I said, we're going to do it online. He looks at me and he was moving some stuff around that he was going to autograph for some folks coming in. And he says, online? And then he goes, that's a really smart way to do that. So we did it online. And then at the end, God granted us the gift through the TN Film Community for next Saturday, the 11th, to actually, and I can't even tell you guys how excited the people are, because I'm getting like personal emails or text or whatever. And Rob, we've won awards before, but we have never had a chance to see our projects, on the screen anywhere. There's, people, they give awards, but they don't show them anywhere. Yeah. And so that's the whole point of this. And all I will be saying, and I won't give you the whole ball of wax, but I just did talk to confirm with Kevin's business partner. Let's just say that Kevin may be floating around at the end of our spring lights, camera, and balloon festival in June. That's all I will say. So there's big things coming up, and I'm not setting them up. I'm just saying God's given me a message. He said, call this person and see if they're interested in having you as part of the deal with the film festival. And then people say yay or nay. And I got to tell you what, I haven't had anybody say nay yet.
That's the beauty of doing what you're asked to do, right? Things just sort of line up. That's amazing. So, look, if there, just in part, like my last question to you, and Jordan might have a question or a comment here, but my last question to you is, if there are creatives right now that are sitting watching this going, man, I just don't know if I can do a good enough job. I don't have the budget. I don't have, all I've got is friends and time. What would you say to them?
I say, but you have the greatest asset in the world that you could ever have, a loving Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And if you, as the Bible says, and I'm not a theologian, but it says something along the lines, guys, right? If I put a good work in you, I will provide everything you need to see it to the end. And so if you're sitting at home right now with no budget, well, God has all that you need. And so maybe you don't need a budget. Maybe you just need those wonderful friends who have a good godly spirit and say, you know what, we're going to honor and glorify the Lord with our best creative talents. And that's all he's asking you to do. Mark Wahlberg said something a few years ago. He said, God's not testing your budget. He's testing your faith.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, are you going to keep coming up with excuses? Like I could have come, like, let me tell you what, if Randa had not said yes to that logo, I don't know if this film festival would have been in place. Because I might have said, well, I don't have anybody to do a logo. This crazy guy that I never met wanted me to do this. But she said yes. And it wasn't even her. It was her husband.
Yeah.
She went to her husband. Thank you, Jonathan Blackley in Bristol, Virginia. It is you and Richard in Newport News, the two of you, and then Monique Kramer, who had edited my last two books that became gold medal winning books that put me on the platform. And then all of the folks, my beautiful partner, Sarah Irvine up in Toronto, Canada, who helped me put together 3 award-winning scripts, and also Randa and Monique each helped edit them as well. God gave me everything I needed to put me in the place to start a festival to honor and glorify him. So do you not think that if you're sitting there right now with no budget, but you have talent, and let me just tell you something, folks, everybody has a cell phone. You don't need camera equipment and lighting and all of this stuff. I was at a SAG, Rick, one of the last things I did in Hollywood was I went to a Screen Actors Guild meeting, and there's 150 of us sitting in this room at the SAG headquarters on Wilshire Boulevard. And David Permit, who was David, it was his birthday party. We were honoring him, but he used to be the showrunner on ER and some other big things. And he looks at us all and he goes, hey, I just want to ask you guys a question. How many of you, you're all actors and actresses, I know that, but how many of you are actual creators? And only like 10 of us put our hands up. And I won't say the exact words that he used because this is a show, but he said basically, what the is wrong with you people? He said, every one of you has a cell phone. The cell phone has a camera. He goes, we don't need to see the greatest camera work. It's all about the story and how you tell the story. So if you have a great godly story inside of you right now, and you have a cell phone, and your friend has a cell phone, and someone else has a cell phone, then you got 3 cameras right there. You got all you need. And then you figure out the lighting and look at on your thing, you can adjust the lighting, you can crop it, you can fix the picture if you didn't frame it so well, you can edit it. I mean, I edit stuff on my thing, and I happen to have an Apple, so I have iMovie, and I just go on there and you can add a little music. This is not about you coming up with the greatest special effects in the world. Now, I will say this on this note, though. Bobby Lacer up in Kentucky, his group, Fighting the Fire, they put together an incredible film with special effects and stuff. I'm going to guess that Bobby's budget was not that big. I hadn't talked to him, but he put together a Fighting the Fire, and the lead actor, James Dickey. It was about a fireman who had an alcoholism problem, and before he found Jesus. And it was one of the most powerful. He could have won an Oscar, as far as I'm concerned, if it was in Hollywood. But it was just a brilliant production. And again, that's what you do, Bradley. You gather your friends, and what do we have? And I tell you what, when you put it out to the world that you're doing a project for the Lord, it just so happens. I put it out there. I want this guy. I would love to talk to this guy. 2 days later, somebody says, check your text messages. He told me to give you his cell phone number to call him. I'm like, what? So I tell you, no matter what it is that you have, a song, I told Randa, perfect example. My wonderful friend Randa, who is the graphic designer and so on all of this, and my consultant, as well as Monique Kramer, Randa, she writes this song back in, I don't know, March or something, called Blown Away. And I said, my God, that song should be on the radio. That is a powerful, powerful Christian song, and it needs to be heard and sung. It's one that can be sung. And I said, you know what you got to do is you make a YouTube video out of it. I said, put it on YouTube and then start letting it flourish wherever it is, Spotify, whatever. And she writes me back and she says, my sister says I should send it up to Nashville and ask Carrie Underwood to sing it and see what she can do with it. And I said, Randa, I said, God gave you those words to write down. He gave you those words to sing. He gave you the beautiful voice to sing it with. And she goes, well, I can't make a music video because I don't have a camera. And she didn't have a cell phone or something with a camera, something or whatever it was. And I said, just put it out there to the world. She puts it on Facebook. I'm looking at making a music video to my song here. Within 5 minutes, some guy says, I got a beautiful 4K camera you can borrow. Come and get it.
Nice.
I mean, we, Bradley and Jordan, you're better than me probably. We knock ourselves down and we don't do things because we just keep coming up with excuses. And the Lord didn't make any excuses when he created any one of us, right? And any one of us that has a testimony, He expects us to share these things because he took me from a homeless cocaine addict living out of the Greyhound bus station in Fort Lauderdale to just a few weeks ago on November 29th, celebrating 32 years of sobriety.
Come on.
Now, how do you do that? I did it with him leading the way.
Yeah, 100%.
So he gave me the gift of sobriety way back when. And then what did I do with those tools? I go to the 12-step programs. What do I do with I got to still do the work, right? He doesn't miraculously say, Rob, baboom.
Faith without actions is dead.
1,000,000%, right? And so it's the same thing as Bradley, as you asked, what do I do if I got a great idea? I love the Lord, but I got some friends that got some start working today. Write the script, right? You can tweak the script, shoot the thing. People have apartments, people have houses. You can go to a park. If you have an outdoor scene, just go to a park and shoot it.
Just start. Whether it's one sentence, the title of it, just start, because it's the initial start that is hard. Once the momentum goes and you start to see everything coming together, you get the momentum. It's the initial start that's the toughest.
1,000,000%, Jordan. Absolutely correct. So there's your answer, Bradley. It's just do it. Don't make excuses. And again, this film festival, God had me create through the message that Rich gave me, was that way. It was meant for anybody who was just interested in honoring the Lord with their works and saying, Lord, I love you. And we all have different talent levels. Like, I'm not a singer. Miranda's got an amazing voice, right? There was another gal from down in Florida that had an amazing voice that submitted. There were documentary guys from Iran and China that showed us different ways of life over there, that produced amazing films from over there. They didn't let anything, and even stop them. And even the guy in Iran, I told you guys, he wrote me an email and said, sir, my monetary system doesn't line up with yours, and so I can't submit a submission. Could you give me a complimentary submit? I'm like, this is God's festival. If you want to honor and glorify him, and you really have a legitimate reason, and you're not just trying, I didn't say that, but like, this guy clearly wanted to showcase his work for the Lord. And it was a beautiful, brilliant piece of work about Iran and the people over there and stuff like that. And the stuff that we don't see, and the beauty of the country. Yeah. We don't see all the goodness, right? We see we just hear about all the badness. And he shared some amazingly wonderful work and his talent and honored the Lord. And so, yes, if you're out there right now, please, I implore you, start your film, start your music video. And the one thing I said at the beginning of the show, family videos. Just take your cell phone. If you got maybe you're a mom and a dad and you got a couple of kids or a family, and maybe you go hiking every Saturday and look at all the goodness of the Lord. Or maybe you do something on Sunday nights and read together or something, and you just have fun and you have popcorn. I want family videos to show people how much they love the Lord and just honor him with the simplicity of life. So if you've got anything like that, you don't even need to write a script. Just turn the camera on and follow yourself around. Our next season starts on February 1st. So right about 3 weeks away, we're going to be starting and it's going to run through the end of May. So that way people can be honored for their works and move forward and put laurels on their works and have certificates. So that way when they go to try to get others to invest in their projects and stuff, they can say, hey, look, I'm an award winning and I won an award honoring and glorifying the Lord. Many people are looking for, hey, is there money involved with this? Did we win a cash prize? Oh, you won the greatest prize ever. You won an award for honoring and glorifying the Lord. What better prize could you ever be honored for?
Yeah, for sure. Jordan, any questions or comments before we land the plane here?
Yes, please. Yes, sir. So this is one of the ones that you could tell people you're not going to believe it, but you're about to believe it because I'm about to tell you. And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And you have enough components that is beyond coincidence, that is very impactful. And it shows how much God has his hands in your life. Mm-hmm. And the two scriptures that I get that I'd like to share is Colossians 3:23 or Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as in working for the Lord, not for your human masters. And also, I just learned this one. This is a little simple test. Proverbs 1:7. For the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
I was writing those down as you were sharing them, so I didn't forget them.
That's
good stuff.
That is
good stuff.
That is really good stuff. Well, thank you guys for having me here. So next Saturday, a week from today, January 11th, 12 noon, doors open at 11 a.m., free parking. You do need to get tickets ahead of time. tnfilmcommunity.com. They're the ones that are putting this on, and they're doing pre-ticket sales only for that. So you need to go on their website, tnfilmcommunity.com, to get your tickets. And then you can find out more about our organization, the Knoxville International Christian Film Festival, at knoxvillechristianfilms.com and facebook.com/Knoxville Christian Films. And you can see all kinds of wonderful stuff. Again, February 1st, we'll be starting off season 2. But next Saturday, a week from today, if you're anywhere in the Knoxville area, you can come on down. We would love to see you. Got the red carpet banner from Mark Scarborough at Water's Edge. Again, an amazing, our friend, Mr. Tisdale, is going to be coming from the Tri-Cities area and singing the national anthem. He has sung at the Bristol Motor Speedway for NASCAR. He has traveled all over to do some great work for the Lord and sharing his wonderful voice and all kinds of wonderful filmmakers. So next Saturday, January 11th, noon to 8 p.m. Our section is 12:30 to about 4 in a 148-seat beautiful auditorium at Pellissippi State Community College in Hardin Valley, Northwest, Knoxville. Wow. You guys, I can't even begin to thank you for helping me to honor and glorify the Lord. I'm sure you're going to have a wonderfully blessed weekend.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. Come back. We want to hear more on the next round. And in fact, I'm thinking it might be really fun to interview some of your award winners to be able to tell God's story in their life. I think it might be fun.
I think that one of the things, though, then quickly on this, one of the things that we're trying to do is to build a network to be able to have their projects honored. So I have a podcast, a beautiful podcast down in Tampa, Florida, that has been around for a long time. They've already agreed to have them on. So if you guys want them on, I can point you in. And so that's one of the things that we were really hoping to do, is to get as much attention to these filmmakers to inspire the ones you just talked about, Bradley, that are sitting on the fence right now, and hopefully get them off the fence and doing it. So we would love to bless your podcast as well with these beautiful people that have done amazing work for the Lord.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us on Testimonies of Triumph. We hope today's story inspired and encouraged you to see God's hand at work in your life. A special thank you to our amazing engineers and production team at Waldrop Communications for making this show possible. Until next time, keep walking in faith, and remember, God's grace is with you every step of the way.